Hi, my name is Stella Kigutanganga and welcome to the Kingdom Connect show, where we connect kingdom marketplace leaders to you and where we speak about faith, about purpose, about business, and about making a difference in our communities. Join us on all our social media platforms, click and subscribe, and join us for interesting, exciting, insightful, and impactful episodes.
Welcome to the Kingdom Connect show. It's such a joy to have you here with us. We just want to welcome you to this show where we talk about bold topics, because as believers in the marketplace, we really do need to think about the narratives that are out there. And this show is all about authenticity and being bold and changing some of the narratives that have been shaping culture. And being kingdom-minded entrepreneurs and professionals, we are taking it on to have these bold conversations. And today, I'm so honored to have a very, very special person on the set, my purpose coach, Dr. John Stanko. Karibu sana.
Asante.
Yeah, it's good to have you here.
Yeah, thank you, Irene. You always include me in your world, and I'm so honored, and it's great to be here, and just delighted at what you're doing and the impact that we know the show is going to have. So thank you, and to all the team.
Thank you. And this reminds me when we first sat together at the Hilton Hotel in March of 2007. And I came to see you because I was really frustrated, and I was also bored beyond belief with my banking career, which I had been at for 9 years then. And you took me through a 90 minutes doing the DISC personality profile. And I remember you asking me, what are you doing in the bank? And tears started, just rolling down my cheeks. And one of the things you said that is now a dream as we sit here at Hemingway's is that your voice should be on, I should be on media. Right. My voice should be heard. So going back to that day and the privilege and the honor, thank you very much, of working with you for the last 16 years. Explain to our viewers, what is purpose all about?
Well, it's the essence of who God made us to be. It's the assignment that we have that is unique to us as our fingerprints. And when you think of our fingerprints, they don't match anybody else's in the world. And it's not just that it'll match anybody else's. It's not like God recycles them from somebody who died 30 years ago. My point being that you and I, there's never been anybody like us. We have something to do that only we can do, each of us individually, something for us to be that only we can be. Now, we can partner and team to work together, but purpose is that divine assignment. And you and I have based our work on the fact that God wants us to know what our purpose is. Right. Obviously, we have to know what it is if we're going to fulfill it in the fullness that it can be. Yeah. And you and I have seen people gravitating to their purpose before they know what it is. But once you know it, then you're set free to say yes to all the things that are consistent with it and say no to things that aren't consistent with it. So it is the essence of who we are.
Wow. And what's your purpose, and how and when did you find it?
I found it out of a failed business opportunity when one morning I was religiously asking God to save the business because it was in the dumper. It was done. And I said, Lord, save this business for your glory. But I wasn't interested in God's glory, Irene. I wanted to save my own scalp.
What business was it?
Oh, it was an advertising business. It was the most ill-fated business in the history of mankind. and so I said, oh, Lord, save this business. And when I realized I was just being religious, I changed. I said, God, if you didn't create me to do this business, what did you create me to do? And I wasn't looking for information. I was angry. I was venting. But that morning, God showed me my purpose to create order out of chaos. And I realized at 31 years of age, I had unconsciously, as I mentioned earlier, been gravitating towards that. But for the last 40 years plus years now, it has guided my decisions where my career is concerned, where my daily activities are concerned. And you know, the interesting thing is I never have to go looking for chaos. Chaos
Wow.
always comes looking for me. And my point in saying that, Irene, is that God wants us to know. He wants us to fulfill it. So
Right.
therefore, he's going to send the opportunities. So now I'm involved in publishing, and I have been for 9 years. I have never advertised. I have never put the word out, apart from social media, that I'm doing this, and people come to me with their ideas, with their potential, with their chaos.
Yeah.
And I speak into it and bring order. And more than 100 times to date, we have been able to produce a book project, order out of the chaos that people first came to me with. But I do that beyond publishing. I do it in my speaking, my consulting, my counseling, because that's the essence of who I am.
Right.
And I'm always looking to structure and order things. And so God brought us together. There was all this potential that you had, all these possibilities,
Yeah.
and God empowered me and enabled me to see into them that day when we met those 16 years ago. And it was so obvious to me. And should I mention your nickname? Can I do that? 'Cause
Yes, you can.
I gave...
But they shouldn't call me that. It's for only my papa's
It's
coach.
very private, but soon after I told you about the media, I gave you the nickname of Madame Dynamique. You know, you're dynamic. Your personality is one that is made to inspire, to encourage, to connect with other people. And there's a dynamic about you that when you do it, there's nobody, and I'd say you're my best student in the world, and you are. You have taken the purpose message, and in many ways, the student has exceeded the master, because that's who you are, and you've brought a creative perspective to it that you just can't be matched by anybody I know in the world. So thank you for how you serve the Lord and what you're doing in that capacity.
Thank you very much, and thank you for mentoring me, coaching me, and training me over the years. And some seasons have been rosy and some have been very difficult.
Indeed, yes.
I remember as driving, we were in a taxi along Langata Road, and that time my business had failed forward.
Yep.
I remember I was operating from Karen, and then everything shut down. And as we were driving down the taxi, you told me, Irene, if Satan can't keep you away from purpose, then he will use financial terrorism
That's correct.
to keep you out of purpose. Would you like to explain that to our viewers?
Yeah, and God allows us to go through hard times to test us. It's similar to what King David went through. He gets the promise, and then it couldn't be further from reality that he's going to be the king. He goes through some very difficult times to test him, to prepare him. And so I've said, I hadn't said it to many people at that point, but it so fits your situation that if the enemy can't keep us from purpose, then he tries to starve us out.
Yeah.
He tries to, say, go back and get a job. Go back to the bank.
Right.
At least, once a month you'll know there's going to be some money deposited in your account, and you can count on that, and you can live according to that. And so you were going through that. You were being challenged. Were you going to quit? Were you going to turn around? But you couldn't. I mean, because you had seen it so clearly. It was, you had seen the pearl, and you bought the whole field, and there was a lot of junk in the field, but you knew the pearl of purpose was there.
Yeah.
So I've seen it since then,
Yeah.
again and again, no matter where I go, what country I'm in. When some people start to pursue purpose, things don't get better, things get tougher.
Right.
But those tough times are part of the preparation process for fulfilling our purpose.
Yeah.
And we've all been through them. I've been through them. And but they've made me, they've given me material to teach about, write about,
Right.
and God has strengthened me in the process.
Yeah, and I must say thank you. Allow me to say thank you on the show, because before you left Kenya in that season, you left me with $1,000, and that was like $1 billion.
Yeah.
And of course, a lot of other support over the years, giving me your books and everything. So what would you say to somebody who is in the corporate world or is in business, and they know that what they wake up to do every day is not their purpose, but they're there because they need the money, and they genuinely need it. They need to feed their families, they need to pay debts,
Right.
etc.
Yeah, and those are all how questions. How am I going to feed my family? How am I going to find a job? I encourage people, as hard as it is, you've got to leave the how questions aside right now and focus on the what. What is it that I am supposed to do? I was working with probably my second best student in the world in England, and she and her husband were asking me, well, if she quits, you know, she was in nursing and she goes into ministry, what if and how and who? And I say, those are all hypothetical questions.
Right.
Right now, you don't even know what your purpose is. You haven't clarified it. So I encourage anyone who's watching or listening to get clear on the what, and don't jump into the how. How's this going to work out? How am I going to make money? Just find the what and then soak in it a little bit, marinate in it. You found it one day, the next day you're not going to find, in all probability, your expression of it.
Right.
Where has it exhibited in your life in the past? What exactly does it mean? How are you going to express it? And eventually, and I've been at this long enough that if people do that, they will become more content in their job, because as soon as they leave, they'll be off to their purpose, and eventually they'll find ways to the how. They will make money. Today, I live off my purpose. But in the past, I've been a pastor. I've worked for organizations, and I've taught at the university level. Those things paid the bills, but I knew, Irene, those were not the essence of who God had made me to be. So I could do those things, like Paul's tent making. He wasn't a tent maker. I mean, he knew how to do it, but he was an apostle to the Gentiles. So therefore, he could do the work to make money, but he said, as soon as I have my needs met, I'm out the door so I can be preaching the gospel to the Gentiles. So my advice, get clear. And once you get clear, reflect on it for a while. Don't be in a hurry. And if I can just add that, we've talked about this too. When I got to my 50s, I found my purpose in my 30s. I started to express it and teach on it in my 40s. Well, in my 50s, you know, early 50s, I left church work, and I was starting over. Well, I thought by my 50s, you should be doing what you know to do, that you should be in your career. But my 50s were my greatest growth years. I learned more. I changed more in my 50s. Therefore, my 60s were my most productive years. Writing, travel, ministry, work, business, and now my 70s are my most meaningful. So I would say to our viewers and listeners, you're professional, you're mature, but 30s, 40s, 50s, you're still developing. You're still growing. You're still learning. So your best days are ahead. And that, again, gives you the latitude and the leeway to soak in your purpose, to get clear on what it is, to prepare yourself, to take a course, to be involved in another business that will impart something you need to know for your own, because the best is yet to come.
And this is what this show is about. You're gonna love it, because the narrative at some point must change. Thank you very much. We hope that you have enjoyed this session, and we do look forward to keep connecting with you as we bring more professionals so that we can keep having these candid conversations. Thank you.